The Friday Morning Rant may contain adult themes, adult humor, satire humor. I don't know. Just about pretty much anything that isn't PC may end up on here. It's the Friday Morning Rant with Shanehalfyard. It is Saturday, January 25th, 2020. Sorry I am late. I tried to do this rant yesterday. For some reason, my microphone was not working. The audio was not coming through. I'm not sure why. But I got it working today, so bada bing, bada boom, we're here. So, my wife and I started watching this TV series called Atypical. It's a Netflix original, and it's about a boy who has autism. And he's further along the scale. He's functional, but it is hilariously funny. It is a uniquely funny and different show that I enjoy a great deal. My son, who happens to be on the ASD scale, I can relate to this show a bit more. Marcellus has ASD. He only got diagnosed in his 20s because he's so high functioning that he just barely registers on the scale. Like he's just a little socially awkward and does a couple little quirks. He has the similar quirks to this boy on the show, which is why I found it funny. So we were enjoying it. I mean, if you haven't watched it, I recommend it. It has 3 seasons on Netflix. I'm still in season 1, but I thought it was great. So far, so good. Check it out if you want to watch something different. So, my daughter Cassandra's a bit weird. I'm going to tell you this right now. My wife, Girlie, she had to have a tooth extracted. She had to get it taken out. And Cassandra went with her. They both had a dentist appointment at the same place around the same time. But Cassandra watched her mother get a tooth extracted. Then she proceeded to ask if she could keep the tooth. And then my wife brings it home. And I'm like, well, why did you bring that home? I didn't want to see that. And this is where it gets kind of weird. I can watch, an MMA guy get his head split open and blood can gush out. I've been in situations where I've been cut, blood didn't bother me a bit. I just cleaned it up, no problem. But I see Girlie's blood and I start to feel sick and queasy. Isn't that weird? And I'm thinking maybe it's because it's her and not me. I don't know. But I didn't like it. So I'm like, okay, I got with you. Right? And then, she's, of course, spitting out blood and going, and doing all this stuff before bed. And she goes, you want to kiss me goodnight? And I went, no. No, I don't want to do that. But I did because she gave me the stink eye. But I was like, ah. Isn't that awful? It's terrible, isn't it? I can just hear some of my listeners out there going, he shouldn't be doing that. So, I met this person on Facebook. It's a young woman. She is from overseas, from an Asian country. I won't say which one. She is just turned 20 years old. And she asked for some advice. Now, you may think, oh, why is he talking to this stranger on Facebook? Well, a lot of people will do it. We'll talk to people on Facebook. She added me because we have a friend of a friend, blah, blah, blah. And then she started talking to me. Now, it's all harmless. I will talk to anybody on Facebook that adds me. Okay? Anybody wants to add me on Facebook, you go right ahead. My link will be in the description. Bada bing, bada boom. You go, no problem. I enjoy meeting new people. I enjoy hearing about different cultures. One of the things I greatly miss when I was a teenager, I had a pen pal, right? And that was one of the thrills for me when I'd come home from school or from wrestling practice or from whatever, and I checked the mail and there'd be a letter from a pen pal. And I had 3 pen pals, right? 2 guys and a girl. one guy was in Spain, another guy was in Holland, and a girl was in Thailand. And I enjoyed hearing from them immensely all the time. I enjoyed hearing about their culture. I enjoyed hearing about, how their school was. It was just one of those things that I enjoy. In fact, I miss having a pen pal. I understand that the mail has become obsolete. But anybody out there who had a pen pal, it was a fun, thrilling thing. It broke up your month when you got a letter from a friend that you hadn't even met yet, and you got to hear about their life. And you got to talk to somebody about your life. And that was and about your country. Like, I was sending, coins to, Thailand and Spain and whatnot. And I'd send, pictures or little postcards or, explanations about stuff or news clippings. And I had a lot of fun with that. So, hey, if anybody wants to be my pen pal, you message me and maybe we'll work something out. Because I miss having a pen pal. So you think about that. But anyway, so this young woman starts talking to me. And this has been over the last year and a half. I started off, she waved at me, and then I waved back. And then we started talking here and there. And she's telling me about her culture and her country and her school. And I tell her about my work and my kids and my wife. And, and then she happened to say, I'm glad I said hi to you because you're one of the few men out there that don't ask to see my chest or don't try to flirt with me or blah, blah, blah. And I'm absolutely harmless online for the most part because, I have kids older than her. I am never going to hit on this chick. So she come to me with a problem. And she wanted my advice. And her problem is, when she's not studying, she starts to get anxious and nervous and upset. Because she starts worrying if I'm not studying hard enough, I'm not going to get a job, I'm not going to finish college, I'm not going to get this done. And it all spirals and it causes her to stress and freak out. Okay? So she's asking me how she could better herself and improve herself so that she can handle, hanging out with her friends once in a while. Well, the very first thing I said to her is that maybe she should see a therapist, a licensed therapist or psychologist that can delve deeper than I can go into why she's upset and why she gets worked up. Okay? And she said maybe she'll do that, but she still wanted to hear my opinion. And I said, well, I understand about self-improvement and self-change because I had to do that. And then she asked me to explain about that situation and what I had to improve myself on. So I'll tell you what I told her. Okay? I may not seem it right now, but I grew up a very angry person. In fact, anger is still my go-to. I can lose my temper pretty quickly. I just don't show it because I understand that doesn't help the situation. Okay? But my wife will hear about it. I'll come home and I got so pissed off today. And then I tell her what happened, right? And she does the same thing. At work, she keeps a level head. She comes home and she bitches about whatever's on her mind, if it's customers or her shift being changed or whatever, anything, the normal stuff. So this is how it happened. I was born into basically a dysfunctional family. Okay? And they're not, when I say dysfunctional, what you got to understand about a dysfunctional family is a dysfunctional family still loves each other. Okay? A dysfunctional family loves each other, wants the best for each other, but doesn't know how to express it and gets angry because they don't know how to express it. So what happens is the whole, if they get nervous or don't understand their kid or their spouse or any problems, anger is their go-to. Okay? That's how a dysfunctional family generally works. That's my opinion anyway. That's how my family worked. All right? So, my parents would argue and fight quite a bit And my father was particularly harder on me because he didn't understand how to deal with a disabled child. Okay? Plus, he came from a dysfunctional family. And I'm willing to bet dollars of donuts that he took it a lot easier on me than how things were with him. I think that's what parents do. They try to make their kids' lives a little easier than what they had to go through. So I honestly believe that my father, whatever my father dished out to me, I'm willing to bet dollars of donuts that he got it 10 times worse when he was a kid. Right? So he, in his mind, he's improving. Right? So, but he was, he was easy to anger. He was easy to offend, upset. Things that were funny one day, he'd get angry at the next day. Other things he would do. If he had a hard day at work, he would have to come home and make sure I had a hard day at home. Okay? And one of the things he would do is if I'm watching like a cartoon show, a lot of you guys may remember this, before like Cartoon Networks came out, there'd be cartoons after school, right? And it was usually from the gambit from 3 to 5, right? So from 3 to 5, it would be, various cartoons. They'd be like, Transformers, DuckTales, Darkwing Duck, Ninja Turtles, or whatever, right? Whatever cartoons run. Well, my father would get home at about, 4:50. 9 times out of 10, not being generous, probably about 7 times out of 10, he would just sit down, let me finish my cartoon, and then watch the news. But if something was up his ass that day, he'd come in, change the channel, right? And just start flipping for the channels. Flick, 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 right? Not watching anything. And I say, there's nothing for you to watch. Why are you doing this? And he goes, well, you grow up, you have your own TV, you can do whatever you want. And I was like, you're an asshole. Right? That usually got me a cuff across the face or, whatever. But, he literally did that to be a dick. Okay? And that was one of the things that would make me angry. Right? So I come from that environment where I was always nervous. I felt like I was walking on eggshells, and I didn't know how to cope with it. So I became a very angry boy. Right? That's one phase. The other phase is in grade school. Right? First of all, in grade school, they didn't know what to do with me. Right? So I didn't really know how to read or write or any of that stuff until I got to around high school. I mean, I could read a little bit, but I couldn't read on the level that was like, if I was in grade 3, I couldn't read at a grade 3 level. As I was in grade 6, I couldn't read at a grade 6 level. So the teachers didn't know what to do with me, so they put me in a corner, and they just left me there, right? And they'll say things like, well, you could have been more, motivated. You could have been more, what's the word? Fuck. Jesus. It was almost, I had this memorized, what I wanted to say. I could have taken more initiative. I could have been more initiative, right? Well, kids like that aren't initiative because they don't know. They're afraid. They're already afraid to fail. So when kids are afraid to fail, what they do is they don't try, right? So like this, for example, they'd write the notes on the board and want everybody to write it down, and they'd expect me to copy these notes down. So I would get up and I would memorize a couple of words, go down, write it down, get up, because I had to get inches from the board. So I'm in everybody's way. So I'm making a spectacle of myself that way. People are like, move, Shane, get out of the way, Shane, things of that nature. So that shit heap was going on. And then I didn't have enough time to get the notes, and then the teacher would erase them. Okay? That's how fucking brilliant these teachers were. So I'm like, well, I couldn't get them. Well, that's your problem. No, okay, my problem. I'm done dealing with it. It's no longer my problem. So I did not give a fuck. Got to a point where I didn't give a fuck so much that I didn't even go to school half the time. I literally skipped school like every other day. And what I would do is when the teachers would call home, I would answer it and say, I'm sorry, my parents aren't here. My dad would say, who's that? I'd say, it's some guy from Visa One or MasterCard. And he'd be like, oh yeah, you were right to tell them to fuck off. I don't want to talk to them. So, like telemarketers. And that's how I handled that. Now, of course, whenever the report cards came out, I got caught. My dad would beat my ass. And then the circle would go on through again the following term or the following year. Because the way I looked at it is I can go to 8 hours of school or I can get a 5-minute ass whooping. Wow, this is a no-brainer. That's basic math. I took the 5-minute ass whooping. So that on top of it made me an angry person. Then the children, right? I was kind of small. I had thick glasses, and I'm talking thick. I'm talking they look like the bottom of Coke bottles. No joke. So of course that made me a target. I got ripped on, picked on, beaten up, So all of this, shit salad made me a very angry person. So I would fight anyone, anywhere, anytime. And I couldn't take compliments. I couldn't take any act of kindness. I would look at it as, okay, this guy's trying to trick me. They're fucking with me. Piss off. Now, that's not to say I didn't have friends. I had a lot of friends that lived on the Clarny Road. I lived on the Clarny Road for a while. So I had, Mike McCutcheon, Debbie McCutcheon, a guy, Wayne Gillis. They were my friends. Daniel Gallagher, who didn't live on the Clarny Road, but he was a friend of mine. And then there was Jason Andrews. So I had a small group of friends. Then I had friends that lived near me that I didn't necessarily hang out with at school, but I had friends like Chris Thibodeau, who was one of my longest and bestest friends. And in fact, we got reconnected together last year. And then I also had a guy named Kyle Dunphy, a kid named Billy Joel, a guy named Michael Hensby. So I had friends. I don't want them to think that I was this, lonely person that didn't have anybody. But I didn't always know how to interact with my friends. I really didn't. I would screw up and say the wrong thing or get a little too rough or, laugh at the wrong time because I didn't understand how I should behave socially with my friends. Okay? But they were still good friends. Sometimes we'd get into an argument. We wouldn't talk for a day. The next day we'd be cool. And so they were very understanding on my part. So by the time grade 6 comes, I start to learn to interact with the kids properly. I start to actually gain a little popularity. I start to get, they matured, they grew with me. So they started accepting my flaws, my disability. So then I get into junior high. Okay? Junior high is a completely different world, right? You go from, my junior high was the largest junior high in the British Commonwealth. Okay? It's huge. Okay? This school, right, is so big, it has its own public library. Not a library just for the kids. It's a public library. It has a public gym. Like, you can literally pay membership dues and go to the weight room at this junior high. It has a pool. It has a theater. Like, this is a big freaking... This is, a lot of high schools don't got this shit. But, it does, right? So, I get in there and, I went from a place that had like 2 grade 6s, 2 grade 5s, like 2 of every class. And then I get to this junior high and it's got like 4 of every class, right? And each classroom's between 30 and 33 people. That's huge, okay? And I get there. First thing that happens is the vice principal, his name was Walsh, Mr. Walsh, pulls me aside, sits me down and says, "You're Shane Halfyard's son." I said, "Yeah, Shane Halfyard's my dad. I'm little Shane." And he goes, "Are you going to be like your father and give me problems?" So already I'm singled out as a troublemaker. And he was right. I wasn't a good kid. So I understand, back then I was pissed. But looking back, I can kind of understand it. So that was going on, right? But I was still kind of making more friends. And I was getting to be kind of popular. And, like, not super popular. There was more guys much more popular than I was. But I was popular enough that as I was going from one class to another, people were saying, "Hey, Shane," and waving to me, and I was waving back, and I was starting to feel really good about myself. In grade 7, though, there was this young girl. I can't even remember her name. Right? But she showed interest in me. She was trying to be my girlfriend. She was 13, I was 12, and she was already interested in me. And she wanted to be, she wanted to date me. And, she did the junior high thing where she sent her friend over to tell me that her friend so-and-so thinks I'm so cute, and she wants to know if I'd like to go out with her. And what automatically came to my mind is someone is fucking with me, and I don't like it. Okay? I couldn't handle the fact that maybe that this person liked me. No. What went through my mind is that they were trying to trick me, they were trying to embarrass me, they were trying to hurt me. So I said, no, I'm not interested. I don't really know her. She didn't give up. Okay? She approached me herself and said, well, maybe we can get to know each other while we're dating. That's what dating is. I had no argument for that. So I'm like, I don't know what to say. So I said to her, no, well, I made up stuff and made excuses. Finally, I just got mad and looked, just fuck off. All right? And I took off. Because I didn't know what to do. And now looking back at that situation, if I could ever meet this girl again, I would tell her I'm sorry and that I was an idiot. Right? That I didn't know anything. That I wasn't ready. And I didn't know how to tell her that I wasn't ready for a girlfriend. Right? So anyway, but that was, my social fuck-ups. But then what really happened was where I started becoming unpopular again is because there's one kid, his name's Jason Lemon. Great guy. Didn't know him at the time, but this other kid was picking on him. And he was bigger, he was stronger, and the kid goes, look, I don't want to fight. Jason goes, I don't want to fight, just leave me alone. And he was the guy wanted to beat him up because he didn't like the look of his face, because he was a nerdy kid. So I didn't like that. So I beat the living fuck out of that guy. And that, of course, Jason Lemon realized hanging out with me is in his best interest. So he's always walking around me. Always with me. Never leaves my side. Well, that word gets around. And another guy named Mark Bailey, who everyone's always picking on, he starts hanging around me. Right? Always by my side. And then Ronald Crosman, and then Trevor Rideout. And I'm like, oh my God. Right? So I'm now hanging out with all the unpopular kids, and now nobody's talking to me. And I'm back down to be this social pariah. But I didn't care because I didn't like the fact those kids were getting picked on. Bugged the hell out of me. But by the time grade 9 came around, my teachers started catching on that I need real fucking help. Right? My last year of junior high, they start giving me my notes. They photocopied their notes and they would give them to me. Well, then I started trying hard. When high school comes, okay? High school is a whole different world. Just for my high school, what you gotta understand is my high school at the time was the largest high school in the British Commonwealth. There was over 3,000 students. It had wings. It had an A wing, a B wing, a C wing, a D wing, an E wing, and an F wing. Okay? Right? It had wings. It had a huge library that took up 2 floors. It had a theater. It had 4 gyms, plus an auxiliary gym and a weight room. Huge cafeteria. This place was big. Okay? So, I get there. And these teachers, they got their game going. Right? They are giving me my notes. They are giving me any help I need. Right? They have made it so that instead of me taking a test, if everyone gets an hour to take the test, I get an hour and a half to take the test. If I need someone to read the test to me, they read it to me. They're doing everything they can. Right? But I'm still angry. I'm still an angry guy. I'll fight anybody, anytime, anywhere, and I'm constantly getting into trouble. Okay? Constantly. it starts to peter off, though. And how it starts to peter off is I'm getting confident in myself. I'm going from getting 50s and 55s to getting 75s to 80s. I know that's not super high marks, but from a guy where I was coming from, that was a big deal. That was a huge deal. And I had wonderful teachers that were looking out for me. Okay? And they also gave me this one period a day, every day, where I could go to this room with other kids who were struggling and just work on my homework. If I needed help with it, I could approach the teacher there. The teacher wasn't there to teach. His name was Mr. Dokley. Dokley was his name, sorry. Or was it Doke? I don't know. I can't remember. Man, it's over 30 years ago. Give me a break. So he was there just in case you need help. Right? That's it. That's all. He was just basically reading a book or marking papers or reading a newspaper. But his job was, I walk up to him and I say, look, I need help with this, or teach me how to do this, or what can I do with this? And he would go, oh, Shane, well, look, you need to get a book called Form and Format. You get that book at the school supply. There was a store at the school too that would sell anything you need, like, books, school supplies, clothes. And how it was a nice little store. So he would tell me that, and then he would show me how an essay should be written, and he'd take the time to help me with those things. So my self-esteem in school started going up, but I was still an angry person. Okay? But I was starting to joke around. I was starting to take things less seriously. I was starting to not be offended as much. Okay? I wasn't perfect, but I realized then that I had to improve myself. I had friends. I had a good school career. I have teachers that want to help me. I need to work on me. Okay? At this point, I already had a couple of girlfriends. I hadn't been single since I was, I haven't been single since I was, I think, 14. All right, my first girlfriend, she was 19, I was 14. We met at the School for the Blind. It's a different story. We'll go into another day. And then after that, I kept dating, right? So I was confident in that department that I could talk to girls. And I was confident in my schools, but I still wasn't confident in myself in other ways. I perceived a form of manliness that just is so, I don't know, archaic, or I don't know how to describe it, but it was the wrong form. And I still have this perception of manliness that way, right? A man has to be strong, a man has to be able to fight, a man has to be that. And back then, I really believed all that stupid, happy, crappy. So I still would fight anybody, anywhere, anytime. I was still an angry guy. I just hid it better. And then 1995 comes around and my son is born. I'm 18. And I'm even angrier than ever because my girlfriend at the time stopped taking the pill without telling me. So I didn't want this kid. Okay? Because I'm going to tell it. I'm going to tell it right to the end and be honest about it. Okay? I did not want my son. So I would avoid being around him. I would have nothing to do with him. And I would say it was a good 4 months, maybe even 6 months. And then what happened was, my mother decided to leave me alone with him for a couple of hours. Okay? Everyone else is out of the house, and she said she had to run some errands. And I'm willing to bet, that sneaky bitch did this on purpose. She left me alone with him so I can get to know him. Okay? So, he's hungry. I warm up the bottle. I'm feeding him. And that's when I started realizing how complicated we get as we get older. Okay? Because when he's done eating, he has this smile on his face. He's happy. He's giggly. And I'm like, man, it takes a lot more than a bottle of milk to make me fucking happy. But I start to get to know him. And I play with him. I'm talking to him. I'm tickling him. He's laughing. We're carrying on. You know, he's not doing a whole lot. He's just still he's still in the floppy phase, but he's giggling, you know, and he's reaching up for me. And I was like, why am I mad at you? You didn't do anything. I picked him up. I said, you and me are we're it, man. I am fucking in this now. And that's when I realized I had to make changes about myself, for myself and my son, right? Because I didn't want to be the father my father was. So I told this young woman all that, okay? And she was like, well, how did you change? And I said, I started off with little changes, okay? Little changes. I started telling myself that I'm worthy of love. I started telling myself I am worthy of the friends I have. I started telling myself I am worthy of my son. And then I also started saying to myself, but I have to prove that I'm worthy of these things. And what I mean by proving it is I started trying to be a better friend to my friends. And how I mean by that is when they would call me up and have a problem in the past, I would listen for a few minutes, say I got to go, and let it be. Right? Say, oh, geez, I hope it works out, and kind of move on. But after that, I said, well, tell me about it. And I would let them talk, right? And I would listen. And it turns out that I'm really good at listening, and I was really enjoying helping them. I would give the best advice I could give. I would support their decision, whether they took my advice or not. I made these little changes, even though I didn't always mean it. Like, even though sometimes I didn't give a fuck what they were talking about. But I made myself pretend and force myself to care. And it was one of those things where if you change your behavior, over time that becomes the new form of behavior. All right? So I also would stop looking for, I stop looking for enemies, stop looking for trouble. Like, for example, if someone said, Shane, that's a nice coat, I used to look for sarcasm. I used to look for, where is the trap, right? Why are they saying this to me? Where is the trap, and how do I avoid it? Instead of doing that, I would just say, well, thank you. And I would say something nice about them. And I didn't mean to thank you. And I didn't mean what I was saying. But after a while, I did. Okay? After a while, I meant the thank you. After a while, I meant the nice compliment I would say to them. After a while, I wanted to help my friends. After a while, I wanted to be around my son and play with him and be a part of his life. It took time, and it still takes time. I still get mad at some of the stupidest fucking things in the world. Okay? And I tell myself, look, you can't do that. Like, there are things that my sons will do that just drive me right fucking nuts. Okay? And there's no reason why I should. So I don't say anything. Right? Because those issues are my issues. They're my problems. Okay? And I don't want them to be dumped on my problems. So that's how I did it. Right? I did it by making small changes. I set small goals. I would say things like, I'm not going to go on a rant or yell or get mad about stupid things anymore. And that's what I would do. I would focus on that. And then when I started getting the hang of that, I would say, I'm going to accept compliments when given to me, and I'm going to give compliments back and mean them. So that's what I would do. And then I would say things like, I am not going to pick on people by pointing out their flaws. And then I would stop doing that. And it took a long time. I'm still a work in progress. Right? I set those little goals for myself to make myself a better person. Right? I would say, look, if someone calls me an asshole, I'm just going to make a joke and try to walk away from it. And that's what I would do. Right? And am I perfect? Oh, no. No, I'm not. Some guys can still push the wrong buttons, and I can still want to get into a fight. But am I a better person than I was? Yes. So I told her this. I said, look, aside from seeing a therapist, if you're not ready to do that yet, maybe you're not. But I honestly think you should. But right now, you're studying a lot and you're not living your life. You're not having a, what's the point of studying all the time if you're not, to build a life if you don't have a life? So I said, study. But say after an hour and a half of studying, take 15 minutes to maybe listen to some soft music. Go for a walk. If you enjoy meditation, meditate. Play a video game just on your phone. Set a timer for 15 minutes. Do something that relaxes your mind and your body. And then go back to studying. Well, she wrote, that won't work. I can't do that. It's impossible. And I said to her, it's only impossible because you're saying it's impossible. Instead of saying it won't work, it's impossible, you need to say to yourself, I can do this and this is how. And she then said, you know what? You're right. I'm going to try that. I said, just try these little changes for now. I said, then we'll work on big changes. So just try to give yourself 15 minutes for every hour you're studying. And then eventually, once you become comfortable with that, you can do something else a little more. I said, I understand that you're driven to succeed. I said, you're from a different culture than me, and your culture wants you to go to university and, get a good job, and that's the only way you can be a success. And I'm not going to try to change your way of thinking in one day. But what you need to start telling yourself is it's okay to rest. A healthy mind needs rest. And then you might retain the information better. And she said, well, thank you for your thoughts. And I don't know if she's doing it or not. This was a week ago. But I really hope she is. Okay? I really hope so. Because my rule on self-improvement is it is a lifetime commitment. So if there are things that you feel you want to change about yourself, start looking into it. Right? I would love to hear from it. I would love to hear about what you feel you need to change about yourself and how you feel these changes will improve your life and how you plan on going about it. And if you want some advice about it, I would love to give you some. Right? And my advice, you can take it in or you can chuck it out. There's a way people don't understand that there's a time for advice and then there's a time to back off. Okay? Once the advice is given, you leave it up to the person that you give the advice to either take it or not. Okay? It doesn't mean that they don't respect you. It just means that they weren't ready to do that or make that change, or they felt that another way to go was better for them. And that's all you have to take it as. So, I was going to say, if you found this video, well, not video, podcast, whatever the hell it is, entertaining, informative, useful, please smash that like button. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. Share this with your friends. I would love for this channel to grow, and the only way it's going to grow is if listeners like you help me, okay? So please, take the time to do that, and I would appreciate it. If you have a question, a comment, and you want a chance to win a $25 gift card of your choice, all you have to do is, number 1, subscribe. Number 2, leave a comment down below, or send me an email to shanehalfyard@hotmail.com giving me your suggestion, your question, your comment, and if I read it upon the air, you're automatically in the draw. Okay? Once you're in the draw, I have the draw at the end of the last Friday of every month. Right? You're guaranteed to be in the draw at least. Even if you don't win the $25 gift card of your choice in the monthly draw, every time you enter, you're also put into the end of the year draw for a $100 gift card of your choice. So, you can enter as much as you want, right? You want to enter daily? Enter daily. If I end up, reading all your stuff on the air, bam, you're in. That stuff goes into the draw. I'll leave the description. It'll be in the description again down below. My email, my Facebook, all that stuff. So contact me any way you want. And let's have at it. Okay? And good luck to those who enter. Yeah, that's about it for now. That's my 2 cents. I want to thank you for listening. Have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye for now.